Hi there folks, welcome back to my channel, and for this video I'm going to be looking at another Scottish novel. It's actually one of the ones that I managed to pick up last year when I popped in for a quick visit to Abbey Books, which is up on Meadow Street in Paisley. It's quite a, I would say, fairly well known second-hand bookshop within the town, and it's one that I quite like to go in when I can and have a little browse of the shelves, because they do have a fairly good selection of Scottish literature. So the book that I'm going to be looking at, as you may have guessed from the title of the video, is going to be Highland River by Neil Gunn. And this one was written in the 20th century and is seen as being something of a Scottish classic. And Neil Gunn is probably one of the better known names of the Scottish writers from the 20th century, and it's usually one of the authors, the Scottish authors, that is often looked to for inspiration. But I will talk more in depth about Highland River in just a moment. A wee bit of housekeeping first. If you enjoy my channel, if you enjoy my videos, if you can click on the subscribe button, click on that notification bell, leave some likes, leave some comments, it's always really appreciated. And if you'd like to support the channel further, I will post a link to the channel's coffee.com page in the description bar below and in a pinned comment in the comments section. So with that out of the road, we'll get on with the main topic of the video itself. So with the novel Highland River, obviously there is the blurb at the back. Give a quick little read of that for you. Of all the boys from the surrounding village, he was the one who had grown into a young man with a notable career, the one who should have forgotten his boyish pranks and the obsessions of his youth. And yet he never did forget. Not ever, not even for one day. Unseen, and as the world goes, unnoticed, it had been an epic fight. Nothing at all that happened to him later, of war and horror, of love and joy, ever matched the splendour or the glory of that first struggle by the well pool. Nothing ever had the power of the challenge or the beauty of the victory that long ago autumn morning, when, unarmed and alone, Ken caught a great salmon and began a journey that would take him to the very source of his own self. So that does very much give a very brief overview of Highland River, and as the blurb says, it does start with Ken, which is spelled K-E-N-N, when he's a child, and he has been sent out by his mum and dad to go and get a pail or bucket of water from the well, just quite close to the family home. And it's while he's out there that he realises that there's this massive salmon in the river that goes by the well, so that's why it's called the well pool. And he ends up catching it barehanded and brings it home to his mum and dad. And from what I can remember of my Celtic mythology and folklore, the salmon itself is very much symbolic of wisdom and knowledge. And I think that is a story. I can't remember who the main protagonist of this story is, but there is a story that I can vaguely remember where a salmon has been caught, and the protagonist, who's a young man, has been told to cook the salmon but not to taste it. And is it while he's cooking it, a blister of water appears on the skin, and he bursts it with his finger, with his thumb, and he ends up burning his thumb, and in the process sticks his thumb in his mouth to try and cool it down, and in that process gains knowledge and wisdom. And I think as the story goes, every time he needs to access this knowledge and wisdom, he has to stick his thumb back in his mouth. I should really look that up, because I'm trying to find out what that story was. because it's Celtic mythology in itself is just filled with really strange, interesting, weird stories. And that in itself, that story about the Salmon of Knowledge is, I think, one of the main influences on Highland River, especially within the symbolism of the novel itself. Because Ken's connection to the salmon, to the river, are pretty much symbols that run throughout the novel itself. And the fact that Ken catches a salmon barehanded as a child very much does tie in with the Celtic symbolism of the salmon being of knowledge and wisdom. So it very much does set Ken apart as a character, and very much does play into the idea of Ken somehow being different from his peers. And one of the main themes of Highland River itself, because of Ken's connection to the salmon, he always ends up returning back to the source of his life, which is the river that runs past his house. And so it's like no matter what adventures he has, no matter what evils or dangers he faces, he ends up having this circular return, that he starts in one place, goes out into the world, has his adventures, and ends up coming back to where it all began. And the salmon itself is also quite symbolic of the journey that he faces itself, because again the salmon faces pretty much the exact same journey itself. The salmon starts in the spawning grounds, starts where it's born, swims along the river, and kind of lives part of his life in the river, and ends up out in the seas, out in the oceans, spends years out there, and then comes back, which again ties in with Ken as a character. So the whole idea of life being cyclical and of life's beginning also having an echo of life's end is very much something that can be found throughout the book. Very much some of the biggest pieces of symbolism within the novel itself. Again, everything always seems to tie him back to how life begins. And one of the main aspects of the Highland River, and which seems to be quite a common thing within novels around about this time, is the use of the stream of consciousness. And again, I think I have mentioned this before in other videos where I have looked at novels that use stream of consciousness as the main narrative tool, that even though I have enjoyed reading those books, that they have been books that I would recommend to others, the use of stream of consciousness does slow me down a wee bit as a reader. It's an aspect of those novels that have made me struggle a wee bit, that have made me had to take my time a bit more with what I'm reading. And I don't know if maybe that is a dyslexia thing, because again, I do have dyslexia, and which is probably something that a lot of people probably don't think is very conducive to being a reader or an author. But again, if Agatha Christie could be such an influential writer and be dyslexic, why not? But again, with reading stream of consciousness novels, being dyslexic does slow down the reading speed. But again, I did really enjoy reading Highland River, enjoyed the use of the symbolism. Again, there's no real story that you'd probably really expect. You do just get like these snippets, these flashes of what happens in Ken's life. And it's almost very tidal, the way that happens, that you will have one section of his life, then it moves on to the next one. Then it goes back to roughly about the same time as the previous moment in his life. And then it moves on to the next one. So almost it goes in and out, in and out. So again, it's not just connecting the story to the river through the use of the river as one of the main metaphors and symbols in the story itself, but also kind of connects it to the wider oceans, wider seas. So very much kind of the use of the water as symbolism and motif throughout the book. And there is also, again, it can also be quite meandering as well, which does again bring it back into the river, which again just gives it this flow that you're never too sure where you're going to go next. You're never too sure what you're going to see or experience next. And I do think that that's quite a fitting thing, especially with a novel that uses stream of consciousness. But again, if you are trying to find more 20th century Scottish fiction, I would definitely recommend getting yourself a copy of Highland River by Neil Gunn and having a wee read of that. And yeah, I do have another one of Neil Gunn's books in the house, so I probably will try and get a wee read of that at some point. But that's the one that I've just finished and the one I've just enjoyed. So hopefully you will have found this video interesting. Hopefully you'll be intrigued by The Highland River by Neil Gunn. And hopefully I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.